Hello guys, in the last video we saw how to create a registration page using Tkinter, and also we saw how to get the values from the entry field outside to a function. And in this video we'll be seeing about creating a database using MySQL, and we'll also be seeing how to link that MySQL into Python, and also we'll see how to insert these values from the Tkinter into the MySQL database and create a registration system. So in this case, Tkinter uses as a front end, and MySQL is used as a backend interface. So let's get started. So the first thing which we have to do is to import the library, that is MySQL.connector. So import MySQL.connector, as I'm going to import that as an SQL. And next what we have to do is to go to the command prompt, that is MySQL command prompt. In here I'm going to create a database called as test. Yeah, so I'm going to use the database, so use test. Yeah. And in this database I'm going to create a new table for storing the contents of the registration system. So create table, I'm going to name that table as register. So create table register. In this, the first attribute is going to be the name attribute, that is the name of the user. So name, and it is going to be varchar of 100. And the next attribute is going to be the username, that is going to be varchar of 100. And the third attribute is going to be the email address. In this case we are going to have this username as the primary key, so it is going to be the primary key. And the next attribute is going to be the email, and that also is going to be varchar of 100. And the last attribute is going to be the password, and that also is going to be a varchar of 100. Yeah. So when we run this, yeah, the table is now created. So to see the table, we can use the command dest. So we can see that the table register has 4 fields, that is name, username, email, and password. Out of these, username is used as a primary key, and it cannot be null whenever the user enters the value for registering. Okay, since we have created this database and the table inside of the inside of the Python, and we have imported the MySQL statement, and we have to create a connection with the MySQL. So for doing that, mycon is equals to sql.connect, which host we want. Since we have the database inside our local system, so we are using that as localhost. And next we want user is equals to root, and password is also the same, that is root. And the next attribute is going to be the database, that is going to be for us it is test. So cursor is equals to mycon dot cursor. So we have now successfully established the connection with the MySQL, and then when the user enters the information and clicks the submit button, it comes to this function called as submit. And inside of here we are going to get the values, that is the entered value by the user inside the variables of names, username, email, password, and confirm password. Okay, so the first thing which we have to check is if the name and username, the email, password and confirm password is not empty. So whenever the user is that is all these attributes, that is all these values are must values, so none of these values should be empty. So what I'm going to do is if name and username and email and password and C password, if it is the case, then we are going to write some code in this. In the else case, we are going to display a message box dot show info. Inside this, we are going to display it as alert. We are going to print all fields or compulsory or important must be filled. Yeah. So okay. So inside of here, which what we have to do is, if this is the true case, then we have to get the table contents from the database. So for doing that, we have to do cursor dot execute, inside which we have to execute is select, and we are going to check only if the username is existing or the email is existing. If the username, since we are having the username as the primary key, we have to get the username out of the database, and also the user can have one user for one email address. That is like email address can be only entered once in the database system. So for that, we are getting the username and the email address out of the database system. So select user name and email from register, and then the total value is equals to mycon cursor dot h alt. What this is going to do is it will be inside a tuple, nested tuple, and inside each tuple the first attribute is going to be the username and the second attribute is going to be the email address. So in this case we have to do user name is equals to an empty list, and existing email is also an empty list. So for I in total, we're just separating the username and the existing email. So username dot append of I of 0, since we have defined the first attribute of the nested tuple to be a username, so I of 0 will be a username and I of 1 will be email address. So exist email dot append I of 1. What this is going to do is to insert append all the usernames inside the list of username and all the existing email in the database system into the exist email list. Okay, since we have completed this one, the next thing which we have to do is to check if the email address is already existing in the database. So if email in exist email, in that case we have to print a message box dot show info of alert of, inside the next one we have to type email address already exist, email. So if it is not the case and In the else case, we have to do, if this is the if the email is already existing in the database system, then we have to pop up the message box, and then what we have to do is to delete the value which is there in the list there in the entry box. So that is e3 dot delete 0 comma end. What this is going to do is, if the email address which is entered by the user is already existing in the database system, then it will show the pop-up message that the email address already registered. And then what it will do is it will delete the contents of the e3 entry box from the index 0 till the index end. So e3 is for the e3 is corresponding to the l3, so l3 is for the email address, so it will delete the contents from the email address. Okay, so in the else case, one more thing which we have to check is if the username is already existing. So if user name in username, if this is the case, then we have to display the same message, but in this we have to delete e2, since e2 is corresponding for the username, and here we have to display username already taken. Yeah, and if it is not the case, then in the else case we have to check if the password which is entered by the username and the confirm password which is entered by the username both are same. So if password is equals to confirm password, and then what we have to do is to create a query that is we'll have named that variable as exe of f string, insert into the table name is register of values. One first value is going to be the name, and the next one is going to be the username, and the next one is going to be the new email, that is the email address which is entered by the user, so email, and the next one is going to be the password, so password. You can either use the C password or normal same password, because both the things are same. And then what we have to do is to execute the statement. So curse dot execute the statement of exe, and mycon dot commit to commit the changes which we have done to the Python into the database system. And since the registration is successful, we need to pop up a message telling that the messages that the registration is successful. So message box dot show info on success of registration completed. Yeah, after we are popping up this message, we need to clear all the values from the entry box. So e1 dot delete 0 comma end, and the same thing we need to do till the entry box 5. So that is going to be 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, so that is pretty much it of how to insert the values inside the database system, and check cases which you should have to enter the values inside the database system. And So when we run this, yeah, so when we run this, I'm entering name as Python and the username as Python 2020 and the email address as python@gmail.com and the password is 12345 and the confirm password I'm giving it as 123 and I'm pressing the submit button. Okay, so the user name is not defined in the line 31, so the error is over here. Okay, so when we execute this, we can see python 2020 and python at gmail.com and 12345. In the confirm password I'm giving it as 123. So if I give the submit button, it should pop up a message telling that the passwords do not match. So we didn't create the confirm in the else case, we didn't create for this, so it should not display any message for now, and the button also should not work. Yeah, so if I give 1 2 3 and 4 5, it should pop up a message that registration completed, and it will delete all the values from the entry box. And here we have to add the else case. So if this is the case, then we are entering the values inside it, and in the else case we have to display a message box telling that the passwords do not match. Yeah, so when we run this, we can see that I'm just giving some random values and the password I'm giving it as 123 and the next one I'm giving it as 12345 and then I'm clicking the submit. Okay, show info, so the message, it is show info. Yeah, so it should work perfectly right now, and I'm just giving random values at gmail.com and the password is 123 and 12345 and I'm clicking the submit button. It is telling that the passwords do not match. So if I give it as 123 and 123, it is telling that the registration is completed. So this is the basic registration page which you can create using Tkinter and MySQL using the as a backend, and you're using the Tkinter as the front end, and the basic information which you're getting from the user are the name, username, email, password, and the confirm password. So that's it with the video, guys. In the next video we'll be seeing how to create a login page using Tkinter as a front end and MySQL as a backend. Since we have created the registration system, in the next video we'll see how to use this information in the database to log into a software successfully. So thank you for watching, guys. If you like this content, do subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for more notifications. And if you have any doubt related to these videos, feel free to comment it in the comment box and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And I leave this code link in the description, so if you guys want to check out the code, you can see the code in the GitHub repository. And that's it with the video. Thank you for watching.